let's look at a review of transformations using square root functions. So our parent function for square root functions is y equals the square root of x. And its graph is shown here. Let's look at y equals 3 times the square root of x. So we can see from the graph that this is a vertical stretch. Y equals 1/2 x. We can see in the red graph this is a vertical compression. Y equals -2 times the square root of x. Okay, this is a combination from the purple graph. It's a vertical stretch and a reflection over the x-axis. Okay, again, our parent function, y equals the square root of x. Okay, now, here are some transformations we really haven't seen too much of this year. Y equals the square root of 2x. Here's what the graph looks like in blue. It's a horizontal compression, which, yes, does look a bit like a vertical stretch. But since the 2 is inside the radical with the x, it is a horizontal compression. Y equals the square root of 1/2 x. This time, from the red graph, we'll see a horizontal stretch. So it's stretched horizontally. Y equals the square root of -x. Okay, the negative inside the square root is a reflection over the y-axis. So we can see from the green graph the reflection. Okay, back to our parent function, y equals the square root of x. Y equals the square root of x minus 2. Okay, from the blue graph, we see that this is a translation down 2. Y equals the square root of x plus 1. From the red graph, we see that this is a translation up 1. Back to our parent function, y equals the square root of x. Y equals the square root of x plus 4, with everything inside the square root symbol. From the graph, we can see that this is a translation left 4. Y equals the square root of x minus 1. From the red graph, a translation right 1. Back to our parent function. So finally, let's look at a combination of several transformations. So I'm going to go in the order of operations. So for the y equals -1/2 the square root of x minus 3 plus 1, we'll look at it bit by bit. So first, the blue graph is showing the translation right 3. The red graph includes also a reflection over the x-axis and a vertical compression by 1/2. And finally, the green graph is our final graph, which takes into account the vertical translation up 1.